Good morning, team. What's up? All right, we have kind of ranged a little bit, kind of been a choppy overnight session, not a super clear direction, in my opinion. We've kind of been in this box really since Monday morning. So, gonna wait and see what the market gives us when it opens. But possible bounce areas that I have from like 450 to 470-ish could be a possible rejection. And then if we get a drop in the market open, I think I would be looking towards this like 2580 to 100-ish area. So that's what I'm watching for, but we shall see. Hopefully we get out of this range. Like seriously, this box right here, that's where we've been stuck since a couple hours after Monday's open. What do we have for news today? Just some Fed speakers, nothing else coming up today. Trump is speaking later at the market's closed, 4 o'clock. He's doing a Fox Business speaking thing and some signing. Trumpet signing time, whatever that means. Gold has kind of been rangy too. Interesting overnight session for sure. Anyone in the chat have any particular bias that you're watching for? What are you guys thinking today? So far, getting a little move up. Decent bounce off of VWAP. Let these candles settle. See what we get. Why do I prefer futures? Honestly, to be not honest, that's what I learned on. It's the first thing I was introduced to. But now that I'm learning more, I do like it more than Forex just because it's a little more centralized. You have a better idea of volume because it's all in one place. And then in terms of stocks, I mean, I'm sure trading stocks would be work well too. A lot of the same strategies apply. It would just be a matter of finding the one stock that you want to trade, because I think it's important to find a couple things that you really know how to watch the charts. I could see where the trouble with stocks would be there's so many of them. How do you decide which one to trade? This first candle's all over the place. Good morning, Carrie. So I know I drew off these boxes that are kind of outside our range for a bigger rejection or bounce, but we also have potential liquidity grabs closer. London low and Asia low are pretty stacked up, and then the overnight high is right above us with previous day highs, so that's a potential rejection area too. Man, this first 5 minute candle, man, it's giving no clues. Getting a little bit of movement there. That was a nice little bounce off of VWAP. Looking a little weak. Looks like it might go lower. So far, there's our 15-minute opening range high. I hope we don't get another slow open. Heading down. Let's see what happens when it gets to these overnight lows, right around 290 and 278. Could potentially bounce there. That could have been a good short to take. Definitely looks like it's going lower. Never really came up and like grabbed. I mean, London high and previous day high were right above it. So I guess it could technically still come back up there. Grab a little bit more liquidity before it drops. You got it. Nice, Carrie. Yeah, I get a little bit nervous trading the first couple minutes of the open just because it can whipsaw all over the place. If there's an obvious liquidity grab, like if it had gone up to that London high and previous day high level and rejected, I would have been all over it. But since it didn't quite go up to it before rejecting, it just, in my experience, it could still come back up to that level before going lower. Same thing here. Like, I wouldn't have longed that because it never came back down to this London low or Asia low. Just not getting any super clean bounces right now. Although we do have both VWAPs sitting right here around 350-ish. Not a bad spot. Yeah, if it does come back up to this 350 level, I wouldn't be opposed to taking a short. If it just dumps without me, that's all right. I'll miss it. Sitting at London low right now. Let's see if it goes a little bit lower and grabs that Asia low. Yep. It definitely went and grabbed him, but it's not bouncing. No signs of a bounce. Don't want to long a candle that looks like that. Coming down to that weekly VWAP. ES has not hit its overnight lows, the Asia and London low yet. And just the way NQ is not looking like it wants to bounce. I'm guessing lower. Couple more minutes until our 15-minute opening range is set. See how these liquidity grab candles settle. See what we get. That was a pretty good little bounce there. Nice clean bounce off that weekly VWAP. No continuation up. Looks like it still wants to go lower. And like I said, I'm watching ES too. ES has not hit its overnight lows. They're fighting here. This is chopping around almost like there's news coming later. That's what it feels like. No, I'm not in anything. I was kind of watching for it to come up to this previous day high, London high area for a rejection. Because I was leaning towards it going down, which down is the right direction as of now. But it didn't really come up to any levels I was interested in shorting. And then it did get a decent bounce off of this London low and Asia low. But I was also watching ES, and ES did not hit its low, so I was thinking it would go lower, and so far that's correct. So no, haven't seen anything that I like yet. So if this thing does continue to stay heavy and breaks outside of our 15-minute opening range, we have value area low below. And then really, I like this area down here, 25-100-ish, 25-80s. It is breaking outside the 15-minute opening range. Let's see if we get a confirmation candle outside. Maybe a little break and retest. Something like that. These are some choppy candles. Goodness. Came back up and retested that New York anchored VWAP. Let's see if it rejects here. Yeah, Carrie, this price action is interesting. Like I said, it's not super clean in terms of where it's bouncing right now. Let's see if it rejects here and continues back down. That was tricky, you guys. Looked like it was going to break out of that 15-minute opening range. And then huge buy up. And then kind of acted like it was going to reject it VWAP, and it didn't. That was rude. Definitely tricked me. Faked me out. Kimmer, I do like the 2-minute chart. And the reason is it's just a good middle ground. Like, I think the 5-minute chart forces you to stay patient, but sometimes NQ moves so fast that you miss the move. And then the 1-minute chart, it's like way too easy to get caught up in the emotions of the trade. So the 2-minute is a good middle ground from what I've found. Forces me to stay patient and also not get chopped up in the 1-minute. So at this point, it looks like it is continuing back up. I'm not going to chase this long. If it does come back down to 330-ish, 340, might take a stab at it. But now we're getting back up to this rejection area. London high, previous day high, like I said, are stacked together. And then this spot that I was originally looking at pre-market. So not in anything right now. To the moon, yeah. Kind of looks that way, huh? That was a dirty little drop at the open. Fake everyone out and think we were going lower. We got some decent resistance overhead, so I'm not going to take a long here and just like long into resistance. If we do get a pullback to this VWAP spot that I was talking about, 340, 330, 340, I would consider it. All right, here's our 15-minute high. 15-minute high, London high, previous day high, all stacked up right here. And then this higher time frame resistance that I have in the red box. That's the reason I'm not longing from here. I mean, it could just blast through it. But trading is probabilities, right? Definitely looks like it's trying to break. Is it going to give us a pullback? What's the plan, NQ? What are we doing? What kind of range do we have today? 145 points, not too bad. The midpoint of our range is sitting right at VWAP, so I do like that area for a pullback. I don't know if it's going to give us a pullback, though. Kind of looks like it just wants to blast off from here. You watch 3 minutes? Yeah, I think I've kind of tried 2 and 3 minutes. I don't see much of a difference. But I think it's kind of same general idea of like forcing you to be patient because you have to wait for the candle closure, but allows you to get in a little bit faster and not miss the move like you might with the 5-minute chart. Was that all you're going to give us, NQ? That one tiny little red candle? I can't do it from up here. I can't take a long from here because honestly, I would want to put my stop loss down here. That's a 55-point stop loss, and then maybe target there. Not even a 1-to-1. I gotta wait. You like the charting? Thanks. I'm always trying to find my way with charting. My goal is to keep it simple and not have a ton of lines and boxes and stuff. But sometimes I feel like I have too many lines and boxes. So I go back and forth between like trying to keep the important stuff on that I actually use and trying to keep it simple. So one thing I've actually found that I use quite a bit is the little I button on the bottom left corner where you can like turn off your drawings and then turn off my indicators just so I can like see the chart clean and take away all the stuff that I have drawn. So I use this quite a bit when I'm kind of just trying to get a fresh perspective on everything. Consolidating right under the top of the range. So that could be two things. It could go up and grab that liquidity and dump, or could just blast off. Kind of thinking it's going to blast off. But I'm not putting money on that because I'm not entering a trade. It's kind of a 50-50 chance and just a gut feeling. I've learned not to take trades on gut feelings because that blows up my accounts too much. I've lost too much money doing that. Using TradeZella helps a lot because I have my strategies, like I have my playbook built out for like, why did I take this trade? That was a VWAP trade, or like a rejection from value area high or whatever. I have something very specific that I have to check a box saying why I took this trade. So when I don't have a particular box to check and I'm just like, I don't know, it looked good, that's why I took it. Seeing the stats for those kind of trades where I don't have a reason why and it was just like, it felt right, my win rate was pretty terrible. So decided I got to stop doing that. My gut was right today though, but like I said, I wasn't going to put money on it. Blast off for the win. The visible range volume profile that I use, I don't know, let me look. I just type in visible range volume profile and it's the one under technicals right here. But if yours looks different, I did change my colors. I think the default settings are like a bright yellow and blue or something. I changed mine to just be white or like a gray color. And then I also changed the row size to be 1,000. I think default is like 200 or something like that. But I didn't like the bright yellow and blue, so I changed the color. All right, it blasted through that London high and previous day high. No signs of rejection, so that was not a liquidity grab short opportunity. This zone up here is the only stopping point if we're going to get a pullback. 450 to 470-ish. We had a double break on the 15-minute opening range. That does not happen very often. Is anyone trading gold right now? In my opinion, gold has been hard to read. I watched it last night and I didn't see anything that I liked. It was kind of just choppy and ranging. And even this morning, if you look at the VWAPs, the VWAPs are flat. No direction. It's been in a box. Legends trading is allowing gold. Yeah. I feel like there's some hate being thrown around about which prop firms are allowing gold and which aren't. I know Lucid and Tradeify are still allowing gold trades, and they've posted a couple of funny things on their Twitter or their X accounts, kind of making fun of all the prop firms that are banning gold and silver. It's funny. It's one of those things where you just sit back and eat a bowl of popcorn and watch the drama. I'll just sit here and continue trading and watch all you fools fighting over people's business. It's funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you guys trade with Top Step and you're wanting to go live, I recommend you find a different firm. Like Top Step is great for getting a couple payouts. Well, I won't trade with Top Step anymore. I don't think they're great. But if you're just trading to like get a couple payouts and then probably blow your account, okay, do your thing. But if you are a good trader and you're planning on going live, Top Step just released some new updates to their rules that suck. The live accounts now have intraday trailing drawdown, which is horrible. And then you only have access to trade 20% of your capital in the beginning. And then there's like tiers. You have to work your way up to have access to the rest of your capital. How dumb is that? All right, I'm entering a short. Only took 3 contracts because I chased it a little bit. But that was a heavy sell-off at the level that I've been watching. So I'm going to see how it works out. 399 was my entry. So not a great entry, but let's see if we get some continuation. Wow. Let's see if it comes back down to this value area low. Put my stop loss at break even. Since this thing is crazy. Almost hit my trailing stop loss. I'm still in it, but it's about to stop me out. That was a bounce right at those VWAPs. But that was a big sell-off. Let's see if it continues. That was a heavy drop, so I feel like there was a sign or a chance that it could go lower, but it's still holding that VWAP area. All right, took out my stop loss. That's all right. With how quick it dropped, I didn't want to like mess around with it. So it could continue lower, but was just being careful. Could bounce up a little bit higher, maybe up to like 400-ish, and then reject again. Give us a little bit better risk to reward on it. Same with Lucid. No, Lucid live program is very different. They don't have intraday trailing drawdown. And then, yeah, they don't give you your full capital at once, but it's a lot more than 20%. And theirs is more like incentive based. They use the rest of your capital to like pay you out bonuses and stuff. And they also use the rest of your capital to, like, if you blow your account, they'll let you have access to the rest of your live capital to continue live instead of having to like go through the whole evaluation stage. So I wouldn't compare Top Step to Lucid's live program. They're very different. It sounds like Top Step is just trying to screw people over and make you fail your account. Lucid's rules seem more like they're actually trying to help the trader build a long-term relationship with the firm. Very different in my opinion. Watching this area for a potential re-entry, going short. Staying patient with it though, because it did bounce at that VWAP pretty cleanly. No re-entry yet. I'll let you guys know if I do. But it's coming back up to that 15-minute opening range high. Nope. How are you guys trading so far in the chat? How's everyone doing? A little bit of a tricky day in my opinion. It's like there's big, quick, aggressive moves and then it just chops and puts you to sleep. And then there's another big aggressive move and it's not bouncing off of any like super clean levels. This is a weird day. Yep, so since it did not reject that 15-minute orb, continuing up, it did break out and come back and retest this VWAP and continue higher. I think there's a couple reasons that I'm nervous about a short, because there was that giant sell-off. Like I was saying, it's just like really aggressive moves without warning almost. So that sell off, and then this resistance, the higher time frame resistance that I have drawn up here. Higher time frame resistance wins. Those are some aggressive moves on the rejection from that level. Oh man, this is a good day to size down, you guys, because it seems like your stop loss needs to be a little bit wider than normal. Thinking about a short here, just shorting into VWAP. It's not always smart. Look at the 15-minute chart. These last two candles have given no clues. We still got about 3 more minutes on this 15-minute candle. See if it closes bullish or bearish. They're telling you not to trade right now? Absolutely. Golly. Yeah, Carrie, this is tough. I know you were in a long and got stopped out, and now it's moving up. I think this is wiping out people's stop losses in both directions, honestly. It's a tough day. That's kind of what I was saying, like, size down and stop losses need to be a little bit wider to be able to sit through the chop. Or just take scalps. because sitting through a bigger move is gonna be tough. Yeah, that's not a good idea anymore. One minute left on this 15-minute candle. I'm curious to see how it closes. If it closes outside of the range, then maybe we got a direction. But if you zoom out like this on the 15-minute, you can see that it hasn't really broken either side. One thing that's helped me, Carrie, is like when I find myself being able to make arguments for longs and shorts, that's a clear indication that I should not be taking a trade. And pretty much the whole morning, that's been the case. Like I could have shorted up here because it was rejecting my higher time frame like resistance, but we were above VWAP. And both of those things came true. Like we rejected that level, but we bounced a VWAP. And now we're bouncing a VWAP, but let's see what happens up at this level up here. So that's what I find. I kind of just listen to the chatter in my head. And if I'm kind of going back and forth, like, well, it could reject here, but then it could bounce here, and maybe I should go long, maybe I should go short, then I should not be taking a trade. And that's why I've only taken that one trade, because it did reject at my level, but I trailed my stop loss tight because we were above VWAP, and that's where we bounced. So I'm a little bit green, but nothing to write home to mom about. If the two voices in your head are arguing, the story of my life. All right, coming back up into the zone. Let's see if it comes up a little bit higher. 460, 470-ish. I'm just laughing at gold. It's ugly. It's gone nowhere. Ever since about 15 minutes into the New York Open, it has stayed in a tiny little chop range. And I guess you could say the same about NQ technically. If you zoom out, that same box that we were talking about since Monday stayed in this little box. Or rectangle, whatever you want to call it. We do have our initial balance set. So our IB high is sitting right here at like 25,447. That's also at previous week value area high and this higher time frame resistance I was talking about. So we can possibly watch for shorts. Oh, are you saying gold is chopping because prop firms aren't letting anyone trade it? Well, you know that our prop firm sim funded accounts don't actually trade gold, right? That doesn't actually hit the volume on the books. Look at this ugly chop, you guys. WTF. I think I'd like to see it come up back up to this initial balance high and maybe into this red box area. See if it rejects. Maybe, maybe. The initial balance is just a fancy word for the first 60 minutes of the New York Open. So the range, the high and low from 9:30 to 10:30. And it's basically the same strategy as the 15-minute orb. You can trade either a bounce off the high or low of the range, like a rejection, or you can trade a breakout if it breaks out and retests. But yeah, the 60-minute range, I don't know who came up with the terms, but it's called the initial balance. And then they also made a fancy term for like a fake breakout. That would be a failed auction. So, for example, if it like comes up here and breaks out of the range, but then it kind of wicks up above and quickly rejects, that would be a failed auction if it closes back within the range. Basically what the 15-minute opening range did right here. That was the low and it looked like it was going to come below and it faked out. If that was on the initial balance, that would be a failed auction. The volume profile, I matched, or I mark my point of control from yesterday's New York session. So from 9:30 to 4. And then I mark it on the 1-minute chart. Do I have a video explaining all of the terms? No, I don't have a video that's like just kind of explaining like VAH means value area high, POC means point of control, like a vocabulary video. They're all kind of just scattered throughout. Like I have a volume profile video that explains what point of control, value area high and value area low is. I do have an initial balance video that explains some of those terms. They're all kind of just scattered throughout. So Kimmer, the volume profile, I use this cheap SVP, session volume profile indicator. But you can also use the trading view tool over here, the fixed range volume profile. And I just go to the 1-minute chart and I drag it from the 9:30 candle to the 4 p.m. candle from the previous day's New York session. But you have me curious now. So this is it would be on yesterday right here. So this is Monday's volume profile. Point of control is right there at 367. I didn't mark the value area high since it's all the way up at the top at previous day high, and then there's value area low at the bottom of the white box. Yeah, Waffles Alpha is code Krista. I like Alpha Futures. Alpha Futures, actually, if you guys are looking, I know there's been chatter in the chat about Top Step not being amazing. Alpha Futures, their advanced accounts are identical to Top Step. They're a little bit more expensive, but it's because their max payout is a lot higher. Their max payout is $15,000 per account, and Top Step is $5,000. So that's a good replacement if you're looking for something other than Top Step. Yeah, that's a good question about Edgeful. So today is not a great example because the stats don't really show good stats since it's kind of a choppy day. Let me pull it up. I've kind of been looking at it, but there's nothing that pops out at me as like using these reports for Confluence. But so for example, I use the initial balance one a lot and the 15-minute opening range. But for example, on NQ, the initial balance, it's saying that 89% of the time there will be a single break. A lot of times it'll give you a bias. Today it's neutral since it's choppy. But like, for example, if it says the bias is long and there's a single break, then you would probably be looking for a retracement back into the initial balance, maybe the 50% retracement, or maybe VWAP, or whatever you trade. It could be point of control, and enter a long targeting the top of the range, or vice versa if it's a short. So that's one report I use. And since it's 89% of the time, that's really good data. And also what that means is 11% of the time, it's going to either go the opposite direction or it's going to double break, meaning it'll hit the top and the bottom of the range. 11% is not very likely. So trading to the end of the range and possibly a breakout, that's good statistics. What's another one? Opening candle continuation. So this is the first 60-minute candle of the New York Open, which is basically the initial balance. It gives you a bias. So the bias is long, and 80% of the time it'll end the day with a green session. Initial balance by rejection. So that means that if it does hit the initial balance high because it's long bias, it'll break the initial balance high. And this also, like if I go in to view the details, it'll tell you the chances of a rejection, like how far it's going to go back on a retracement. So there's so many stats in here. This is all just on the initial balance, and you can even filter it by weekday. Because like on Monday, it's this percentage. On Tuesday, it's this percentage. But if you look over here on the left, let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, you're seeing this. This is all just initial balance, but other reports, they have Like if you do gap fills, if you do fair value gaps, opening range breakout, power hour. If you trade power hour, they have SMA, CPI performance, FOMC. What else? If you do ICT, there's some ICT stuff in here. There's average true range for the day. They have Asian session stuff. There's the ICT one I was telling you about. So Fibonacci, pivot points, like there's so much stuff in here depending on your strategy. So I really just use the initial balance and the opening range breakout are the main ones that I pay attention to. But it's kind of just a way to like confirm what I'm seeing on the charts. And then if I come in here and I see the data backs it up, I'm like, okay, cool. I can have a little bit more confidence in my trade. Hopefully that answers your question. By the way, if you guys want to check out Edgeful, I do have a link in the description, and use code Krista. Appreciate you guys' support. There is a monthly subscription fee for it, so it's one of those things you can cancel at any time if you just want to like try it out for a month and see how you like it. I find it helpful. To be totally transparent with you guys, I don't love back testing. I do it some, but I don't like keep data on it. So I'll track my trades in TradeZella. So I know like on my initial balance trades, I have this winning percentage. On my 15-minute opening range breakout trades, I have this winning percentage. So it gives me confidence in my trades. But I know there's some traders who have like 3 years of back tested data that they just do it on trade replay. I'm like, oh, that's so painful. I don't do that stuff. So I feel like Edgeful gives me that edge, you know? Still kind of in that chop, but it is trending up towards that initial balance high. So let's see if it hits it, and then if it rejects or if it continues up. Edgeful also shows like if it breaks, what the data shows for how far it's going to break, like what extension it's going to go to. So once we get to that point, if it actually breaks the IB high, I'll show you guys. I've been using Edgeful for only like 4 weeks now. So to be totally honest with you guys, it took a little bit of time to get used to, just because there are so many reports. There was a little bit of like a learning curve, paralysis by analysis maybe. You know that feeling when you have like 15 different indicators on your chart, and then you're also listening to someone on YouTube, and you just have so much information that you don't even take a trade because everything is conflicting. That's kind of how I felt in the beginning. So I had to filter out which reports I was actually going to pay attention to, which ones made sense to me, because there's a ton of information. So find the ones that you actually use with your strategy. Don't try to use all of them. EVAC, you've done a lot of back testing and have not profited from it. I think the value in back testing is just having confidence in your strategy. Like if you know that 68% of the time this strategy is going to win, then if you take a loss, it's okay because the next time you probably will win. I think it would be easier to just kind of trade more like a robot, I guess, or more systematically and not feel like you're guessing with the setup because you know the data says this. What a messy day. I thought I was going to come back up and retest that initial balance high. Nope. It went right back into the chop. When you zoom out to the higher time frames, there's definitely some long tails on the bottoms of these candles. So, I mean, it could keep going higher. It's just struggling to go any higher. It's stuck right here for sure. Is the market putting anyone to sleep yet? All right, came down to New York anchored VWAP. Let's see if that's the bounce we need to actually get up to initial balance high. You're bored, so we're doing it right? Yes, actually. If you're just staring at the screen and not actually clicking buttons, then I guess you are doing it right. It means you haven't seen your setup yet. Stockfather, that's awesome. Cash account for the win. Let's go, Kevin. Good job. I've thought about funding a cash account. All right, Waffles, have a good one. Jeez, NQ, what are you doing? Well, if it's gonna break and hold below VWAP, then we might be looking for some shorts. I was hoping it would go back up to initial balance high first. I was kind of hoping to have it break IB high so I could show you guys the stats on Edgeville because it's pretty cool. But it won't show it until it breaks. I could be wrong actually because the initial balance is already set. Let me play around with it. Yeah, I think this is tricking people into shorting. So while we're kind of waiting for the initial balance to break, which would be the next trade that I would watch for, here's the Edgeful stats on the initial balance breakout. And it shows, like I have it customized to the breakout days. You can also change it to breakdown days if it's going to break the bottom of the range. And then I have it filtered to initial balance size. It's like 0.77, something like that today. So based on those stats, this is how far outside of the initial balance is going to break. So 94% of the time it'll break out to the 0.1 extension. 88% of the time it'll go to the 0.2. 64% to the 0.3. You guys get the point. But you can actually add this to any indicator, really. But Edgeful does have an indicator on the initial balance breakout. You can add the extensions, whichever one you want to see. But so extension up, let's say you want to target the 0.3 extension. It'll show that green line right there. So that's the 0.3 extension. And it shows 64% of the time on days like today, it'll hit that level. So for those of you guys in the chat who were asking how I use Edgeful, that is an example of how I use it. Yeah, so you can add multiple extensions. I guess I was just trying to avoid having a million lines on my chart. So I like that it keeps holding at VWAP. And then we could target that 0.3 extension, assuming that it would break out. I don't like the chop. I like the volume on this buy up though. I'm watching to see how this 5-minute candle closes. Oh man, this is ugly price action, you guys. Is that where you change them? Let me see. G-Man, are these the levels that you change right here? Go to show levels and then type in these extensions. It wasn't showing when I clicked OK. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Oh, duh. I have my indicator turned off. There we go. Hello. Got it now. Still holding that VWAP, guys. Yeah, that makes sense. Just add the negative extensions if you're looking for a downside break. I'll probably keep it that way, and then just when I don't want to see it, I'll turn it off to keep it cleaner. I'm not loving that there's no volume on these bounces. It's not giving me faith that we are going to continue up. The only reason I'm even considering longs, though, is because it is holding this VWAP level. but no signs of continuation at this point. Trading for freedom, welcome. My chart right now is on MNQ. So I typically watch NQ. That's normally what I have my chart on. I also watch gold on another chart to the side. And if I see something, I'll let everyone know. But I haven't seen anything today. So gold and NQ, but mostly NQ. All right, Donna, have a good day. Hopefully you had a good trading day. I like the way this 5-minute candle is looking right now. We still have 2.5 minutes left on it, but if it ends up being a bullish engulfing candle in the 5-minute and it's bouncing at VWAP, could be a good sign for longs back up to that initial balance high level. So let's see how the candle closes. That 2-minute candle looks good. A lot of times, like if we're moving quickly, I'll zoom back into the 1-minute or 2-minute for like a liquidity sweep or something just to confirm it on a lower time frame to be able to jump in sooner. I think the reason I'm out on the 5-minute and not even considering it yet is because it's been so choppy. I want to wait and see how it closes. So far, so good, but that could all change quickly in this gross price action. $30 on this 5-minute candle. NQ, are you going to do it? Buyers, you actually going to step up? That wasn't a super convincing 5-minute candle. Oh my goodness. Even more, I'm glad I waited for the 5-minute candle closure and it didn't give me what I wanted. Look at that wick, that drop. Jeez. Check out the 1-minute chart. That was rude. But still makes me think we're going higher because of that. It was just a little internal liquidity grab and major bounce back up. But tricky price action, you guys. Again, I know I've said it like 5 times on the stream already. Size down so that you have room to give wider stop losses. And be patient. This is definitely not a day to like just trade momentum and like, oh, that was a bullish 5-minute candle, I'm gonna go long. Nope. You're gonna get faked out. When this thing actually does go, whichever direction it goes, it's going to be a big move, I think. Trapping some people here. Enter long with a target of 455. Let's go. I like that 455 target into this higher time frame resistance zone that I have and just a little above IB high. It's a good target. This 5-minute candle that we're on right now is going to have some good volume. It'll be more than any of the others that we've had over the last couple candles. And then, like I said, on the 1-minute time frame, that little internal liquidity grab and then continuation higher. I like longs here. What I don't like is the crazy wiki price action and lack of continuation. Do you guys ever notice the difference in emotions on days like today versus a trending day? That's a big thing that I've been like becoming more aware of as I've been a trader more. Just the obviousness of it, the fact that it's not your strategy and technical analysis, but more emotions and management of that. But I notice on days like today where it's choppy and like not a super clear direction that I just feel anxious. Like I want to enter a long, but I'm scared. Does anyone ever notice those thoughts? Versus a day where it's like super clean, it's hitting your levels, it's obviously trending, it's giving you the confirmation that you want. It's so much easier to trade calm. Versus a day like today, if I entered a long right now, I would be biting my fingernails or like, you know, feel that tightness in my chest. Like, oh my gosh, it's probably going to hit my stop loss. And now it's coming straight back down. This is just dumb. Why am I even trying to trade this, you guys? You're a scalper, so you don't have any nails left to chew. Need to get you some gum, or I don't know, what are some other like mouth habits you can have? All right, you guys. I'm done. I was sitting there the whole time waiting for it to bounce and go back up to initial balance high, and now it's quite obviously not bouncing, but still could bounce because it's so choppy, you never know. So, to be honest, I have no clue where the heck NQ is going right now. So, I'd be gambling if I tried to enter a trade right now. By the way, I didn't get in this. That was just my idea that I was watching for, and it did not play out. Yeah. And now it's bouncing back up. All right. I'm going to call it a day, you guys. I'm done trading. I don't like this price action. I will see you back tomorrow. And I realized I never really told you guys to hit the like button. So tomorrow I'll beg for more likes and we'll get them up there so we can do a giveaway. I have some Tradeify accounts to give to you guys. All right. Have a good one, guys. See you in Discord and I will see you back tomorrow. Bye, guys.